The fact that I was suddenly making more money infuriated my husband, who swung at me in a fit of wrath and said, "Do you think you're a queen?" I didn't go insane. I was a Thai boxing champion, but he ignored that. Before we go any further, please indicate which nation you are viewing the video from. Have fun listening. Olga drove the automobile through the city's dark streets with assurance. Her fatigued but still lovely eyes reflected the advertising lights that moved over the glass. The contract appeared to be in her pocket after she had just concluded a crucial presentation to a significant customer. In contrast to her home life, where she was growing increasingly uneasy every day, she felt completely at home in the IT industry. It was all different only a few years ago. She quit sports to take care of the house and support Andrei's work as a successful bank manager. She enjoyed every new role and was pleased of his accomplishments. Then, however, something shattered. Andrei was fired, the bank was reorganized, and he appeared to snap. Olga first attempted to help him by sending resumes and searching for openings, but he grew increasingly reclusive and agitated. The situation had drastically shifted now. Olga was making quick progress in her career. Andrei was sitting at home watching TV, and worked as a freelancer sometimes while her pay was increasing. He looked to be dying as a result of this job shift. The flat was filled with a deafening quiet. After setting her suitcase on the ground, Olga entered the kitchen. At one time, Andrei sat at the table and stared. A stack of soiled dishes and an unfinished beer bottle were on the table. Olga murmured softly, "Hello?" expecting at least a response. Andrei's eyes were splattered with annoyance as he gazed up at her. He complained, "Working late again," without returning her welcome. "Work, Andrei, you understand that this is a significant undertaking." Olga made an effort to talk quietly, but she was tensing up within. Indeed. All business, a significant project, and a significant woman. His tone was unmistakably ironic. "What about the house?" "The house is in disarray. It's not time for dinner. There is no iron on the clothes." Olga let out a sigh.
"Andrei, I'm exhausted.
"I'll clean things up tomorrow and let's order something. Let's place our order. When the money is coming in, you can say it with ease. Sitting here counting coins is where I am." Andrei's voice rose. Olga's eyes went closed. She was well versed in this situation. Nagging came first, followed by accusations and insults to one another. "I volunteered to help you, Andrei. Perhaps you ought to enroll in some classes to advance your credentials." She made a cautious suggestion. "Classes? At my age, who needs me? How successful are you and me?" Olga approached him and attempted to give him a hug, but he resisted, saying, "Don't touch me. Don't feel sorry for me. You despise me." Andrei's voice was harsh. "Don't say that. You are smart, talented, just need some time to find yourself." Andrei jumped up from the table and said, "I see it. You look down on me from above." "It's not true," Olga said earnestly. "Do you love me? If you loved me, you wouldn't work until night, but would sit at home and wait for me with dinner like a normal wife," Andrei yelled. Olga flinched, feeling a growing sense of rage. Olga responded calmly, "I'm tired too, Andrei. I'm tired of constantly listening to your complaints. I'm tired of feeling guilty that I work." She was tired of his unending dissatisfaction, of these constant reprimands, of feeling guilty for outperforming him, and of the lack of respect. "However, I'm not weary. Rather, I'm tired of feeling like a failure and unworthy." Andrei approached her, and Olga was frightened. She saw not just wrath but also a sort of animal hatred in Andrei's eyes. "Don't come near me," she murmured softly, taking a step back. "What are you going to do to me? You're quite powerful and self-sufficient. You're a man in a skirt." Volga felt her back strike the wall, with nowhere to run to. "Stop it, Andrei, you're scaring me." Her voice trembled with tears. "Scary? I should have scared you long ago so that you would know your place." Andrei swung. At that moment, something ancient and instinctive woke up in Volga. Olga instinctively blocked Andrei's hand as it came close to her face, snagging his wrists tightly. Andrei froze, staring at her in disbelief as her fingers gripped his hand with amazing force. Years of Muay Thai training returned to her, along with the refined moves, strength, and confidence she had once buried for the sake of her family. "Don't you dare touch me," Olga said very quietly but firmly. Her eyes were filled with icy determination instead of fear, and Andrei recognized the strong, self-assured Olga he had once feared and respected. He slowly lowered his hand as he realized what had happened. He had just attempted to strike his wife, and she had made it plain that she would not permit it to happen again. In the ensuing silence, they both reflected on what had transpired. Olga recognized that she had gone too far, and Andrei recognized that he had lost control over both his life and his wife. Olga released his hand and turned away. Andrei stood silently in the middle of the kitchen, as if terrified, watching her go, realizing that he was losing her forever, and at that moment he felt not only anger and resentment but also fear of being alone. She was unable to look him in the eye any longer, and she knew that it was the end of their marriage, the end of her former life. "I'm leaving," she said quietly, making her way to the bedroom. Olga stood in the hallway of her friend Lena's apartment, leaning against the wall and closing her eyes. She could still feel the power that had been dormant deep inside of her, the power that she had once actively trained and then purposefully muted in an attempt to create a normal family. She could still see Andrei's distorted face, his anger, and her own nearly forgotten reaction. Lena, calmly observing her friend, gave her a cup of hot tea and said, "Drink." To the foolish, unsophisticated Olga. Lena always understood what she needed, and Olga took the cup, felt the warmth spread through her fingers, easing the trembling a little, and took a drink. "You need to come to your senses," she whispered calmly. The tea was strong and sweet with lemon, just the way she liked it. Olga often envied Lena, especially in recent years when her own life seemed more and more gray and colorless. "Thank you, Len," Olga whispered, sipping more tea. They had been friends since university and had experienced a lot together. Lena was the exact opposite of Olga, bright, vivacious, and always confident. Lena took Olga's hand in hers and said, "Tell me everything." Olga told her about the years she had spent trying to please Andrei, about the slow loss of herself, and about the fear that had taken root in her soul. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Lena sat down next to her on the edge of the sofa. "Don't be silly. You're strong, OL. I just forgot about it a little." There was silence in the room as she finished, and Lena remained silent, reflecting on what she had heard, before giving Olga a tight hug. She told about his dismissal, his increasing aggression, the persistent nagging and accusations, and finally yesterday's outburst, about his raised hand and how her body automatically reacted, recalling the skills of Thai boxing. "Enough, OL," she said firmly. "Enough of this. You deserve better. You deserve respect. You deserve happiness." Lena's words sounded like a sentence. Olga knew she was right. Deep down she had always known it, but she was afraid to admit it to herself. She was afraid of change, afraid of being alone. "I know," Olga answered quietly. "But I'm scared." Lena answered. "Fear is normal." Lena offered to let her stay with her for a few days, saying, "But don't let it control you. You can handle it, I'll be there." Olga concurred. She required time to gather her thoughts, regain her composure, and determine her next course of action. Lena accompanied Olga to the gym where her previous Thai boxing teacher, Alexei, used to train the following morning. Although Olga had not seen him in a long time, she recalled him as a powerful and knowledgeable guy. He was the one who taught her how to control her emotions and believe in herself in addition to fighting methods. Alexei smiled warmly as he welcomed her. Even though he was a little older, his eyes were still friendly and piercing. He hugged her and said, "Olya, how many years, how many winters?" Olga informed him about her circumstances, her marriage, the violence, and her need to restore her confidence. "I'm glad to see you. What brought you to me?" she said. Without interjecting, Alexei listened intently. He sighed when she was done. "Life is challenging, Olga. Puts our strength to the test. However, it's critical to keep in mind your true self. It's critical to maintain your identity." He met her gaze with his own. "I recall your strength and determination. Thai boxing is more than just a battle. It's self-control, discipline, and the capacity to defend oneself. And you need it right now." Alexei recommended that she go back to training. Olga was initially hesitant. Alexei persisted even though she felt too damaged and feeble. "Come to one lesson, just try it," he added, "and you'll notice a change." Then Olga arrived. The first lesson was challenging. The movement was difficult for her to recall. Her body felt weak and defiant. But slowly, as the minutes went by, she sensed her former strength returning. She believed she had lost her strength permanently. Sparring with other pupils, honing her skills and hitting the punching bag. All of this gave her confidence again. She sensed that resolve was replacing her dread. Olga was thrilled yet fatigued after the training. Alexei was correct, she knew. Sport requires not just physical prowess but also mental fortitude. She gave Andrei a call in the evening. His tone was unsure and guilty. He begged for pardon and vowed to never do it again. He declared his love for her and his inability to live without her. Silently, Olga listened. She didn't trust him anymore. Her voice had a hardness to it that had never been there before. "Andrei," she said. There was stillness on the line when she said, "I'm filing for divorce." Andrei then started to yell, plead, and threaten. Olga just hung up the phone. She had lost her fear. Olga filed for divorce the next day. Although it was a challenging move, she was certain that she was doing morally. She could no longer endure shame and terror. She was worthy of better. Alexei and Lena helped her with everything. Lena provided her with moral support and assistance with legal matters. She was able to restore her mental and physical power with Alexei's ongoing training. After training one day, Alexei gave her a strange suggestion. "Alya," he stated, "you've recovered so well. You're strong and confident again. Why don't you share your experience with other women? Why don't you open your own self-defense school?" Olga pondered the idea. She found the notion intriguing. She was aware of the high rate of violence and terror among women. She wished to teach kids self-defense and confidence building. Her response was, "I don't know," Alexei said. "I've never done this before." "You can do it. Knowledge, expertise, strength, and a desire to serve others are all things you possess. I'll assist you in getting going." Olga made the decision to do so. They located a tiny area and started recruiting kids with Alexei's help. Only a few of them were present at start, but the school steadily gained popularity through social media advertising and word of mouth. They were young and elderly, married and unmarried, prosperous and stay-at-home moms. They all had the ambition to become more self-assured and practice self-defense techniques. In addition to teaching them self-defense skills, Olga also taught them how to spot and steer clear of harmful situations. She shared her own story with them, detailing how she was able to leave an abusive relationship. They were encouraged and given hope by her example. For Olga, the self-defense course turned become a calling rather than just a job. She believed she was carrying out a vital and significant task. She was assisting women in becoming stronger and more self-reliant. Andrei was left by himself. He had lost his influence on Olga as well as his money. He pleaded for forgiveness and attempted to return, but Olga remained unyielding. She didn't trust him anymore. His life was deteriorating. Everything he owned had been destroyed, and the only person he could blame was himself. In contrast, Olga had discovered a new life. She was content, self-sufficient, and successful. Olga felt important and helpful as she assisted other ladies. She was aware that she had experienced hardship, but she had become stronger and wiser as a result, and she would never again allow herself to be degraded because she recognized her value. She was also aware that respect was earned rather than demanded. It was too late for Andrei to reclaim control. Olga had lost her fear. His mails remained unopened and his calls ignored. He entered her office, but she ignored him and just went by. Her shield was the confidence he previously hated so much. He threatened, pleaded, and cried, but to no effect. What had been effective was now collapsing against her wall of apathy. Andrei realized that he would always be without her, and he was internally tormented by this understanding. He attempted to place the responsibility on her, claiming that she had destroyed his life, but even he knew this was untrue. Everything they owned had been destroyed by him. The popularity of Olga's self-defense course was growing. Only a few of students first entered the hall with courage, but soon word of Olga's strength and inspiration went across the city. Despite their diverse backgrounds and life experiences, women shared the desire to become more self-assured and capable of self-defense. In addition to teaching them Thai boxing basics, Olga also shared her narrative and experience. She described how she got the strength to escape despite feeling agony and dread. and her pupils found resonance in each of her anecdotes. The atmosphere in the room was one of female unity, power, and vitality. Olga saw her students' transformations, including their eyes brightening and their shoulders straightening. In addition to learning how to hit and protect themselves, they also learned how to say no, stand up for their rights, and have confidence in themselves. Olga believed she was making a difference, and that her suffering was becoming a force for good. She was asked to do an interview by a local newspaper one day. Olga hesitated at first. Although she didn't want to share details of her private life with the world, she later came to the realization that this may be another method to support women in violent marriages. The conversation was candid and passionate. Olga discussed abuse, her marriage, and how she was able to leave this cycle. She talked about how important it is to have support, how important it is to believe in yourself, and how nobody has the right to make someone else feel bad. There was a lot of resonance from the interview. Women contacted Olga, sent notes to her, and expressed gratitude for her bravery. Numerous others acknowledged that her tale motivated them to make changes. In the city, Olga gained notoriety. She received invitations to events devoted to combating domestic abuse on radio, television, and other platforms. She became the voice of people who had long remained silenced. Olga, however, stayed the same straightforward, honest lady who only wanted to assist others in spite of her fame. A little girl came up to Olga one day after one of the courses. She was standing off to the side, hopping nervously from foot to foot. She had caught Olga's attention at the start of the lesson. She continued glancing about, giddy with excitement. The girl said in a low voice, "Olga, can I talk to you?" Olga smiled and replied, "Of course. What's your name?" "Svetlana is my name. In the papers I read about your interview." Olga waited for the next step and nodded. "Your narrative. I was very moved by it. My circumstances are identical." Olga felt her heart sink. She was aware of what she was going to hear. Svetlana described her husband's persistent pestering, humiliation, and control over her every move. She talked softly, as though she was worried someone would overhear her. Without interjecting, Olga listened intently. She recognized the same anguish and dread in Svetlana's eyes that she had previously felt. The words "I'm afraid," Svetlana said. "I'm afraid to leave, I'm afraid to stay. I don't know what to do." Olga took her hand. "I know how afraid you are," she stated. "I've experienced this myself. But don't worry, you don't have to go through it alone." Olga described her experience to Svetlana, including how she had the will to depart. She discussed the value of asking for help and the support of friends. "Believing in yourself is the most important thing," Olga stated. "To realize that you're worthy of better. Nobody has the right to deny you the respect, love, and happiness you deserve." Svetlana held her breath as she listened. Her eyes glowed with hope. She said, "What should I do? Where do I start?" "Start small," suggested Olga. "Establish a modest objective and work toward it. Never hesitate to seek assistance. Seek advice from friends, family, or a psychologist. The most important thing is to avoid being alone." Svetlana should go to Olga's lessons, she advised. Her words, "You'll find support here. You'll learn to protect yourself here. And you'll understand that you're not alone." Svetlana concurred. She started going to lessons on a regular basis. She grew stronger and more self-assured each time. She developed the ability to set limits and say no in addition to hitting. She started talking to other ladies who were in a similar predicament. They aided and encouraged one another while sharing their stories. A few months later, Svetlana found the strength to leave her spouse. Although it was difficult, she succeeded. She started a new life, got a job, and rented an apartment. She was set free. Svetlana visited Olga one day and gave her a hug. "Thank you," she offered. "If it weren't for you, I would have lived in this nightmare. You saved my life." Olga was beaming. She was aware that what she had done was significant. Another lady had found happiness and freedom thanks to her. When Olga got home that evening, she stood at the window and gazed at the nighttime metropolis. She was joyful and powerful. Despite all that had happened to her, Olga had remained strong. She would never allow herself to be humiliated again. Since she had the power to turn her life around and serve others. Respect must be earned. It cannot be requested.